In Alaska Native communities, the drum calls the people together. And through singing, our songs, history, and cultural knowledge is passed on. Drum Beats, Hagasetelna, We Live Well, is a project funded by the United States Department of Agriculture. In Drum Beats, we pass on knowledge through higher education. Drum Beats involves a consortium of Alaska Native serving institutions in the College of Rural and Community Development at the University of Alaska Fairbanks. This video will report on the progress of the new academic programs developed under the USDA Drum Beats grant from the viewpoint of faculty, students, and our stakeholders.
The biggest strength of the Veterinary Sciences program is the distance delivery of science classes to communities in rural Alaska. In order to access education, many students have had to make the choice to leave a home community and move to Fairbanks or Anchorage to attend college. But with this program and its affiliated programs, we can deliver our content out to smaller communities so students can earn a college degree without having to leave behind a subsistence lifestyle, obtaining food, making sure there's enough wood. If a student has to leave for school, they become removed from those activities and cycles, whereas if they can earn their college degree while they stay at home, they can remain active in those rich traditions.
The best thing about the program for me was that it was offered distance. The needs in the community where I'm from, Chistochina, there are quite a few sled dog teams there. While I was still living there and while I was in the program, people would call me up and say, my dog got a porcupine, come help me take the quills out. Or I had people with goats that would call me up because the goat hurt themselves. Once I got involved in the program, I had a lot of people coming to me and asking me to help take care of mostly emergencies. People in that particular community are very on top of it in terms of taking care of regular maintenance, health issues, vaccinations, and those types of things. And there are a lot of people with dogs. I would love to work with dog mushers in addition to food animals. There are a lot of sled dogs. They are generally well cared for, but every now and then those mushers need a vet too. So one of the big obstacles that I had to overcome with the distance aspect was because I'm deaf, trying to manage that aspect with audio classes was a little bit challenging. I had transcribers who were here in Fairbanks, and they listened in on the classes, and they typed as the teacher talked, and that was all delivered remotely. When I had practicums or intensives here in Fairbanks and we traveled here, usually an interpreter was provided. There were times when an interpreter was not available and we tried some remote interpreting, having the interpreter in Seattle, I think it was, on a video camera, listening to us here in Fairbanks. That was a very interesting experience. The Disability Services Office here is really wonderful, and they did a great job trying to find as much support as they could to meet my needs.
I have students report back to me that they now are able to be a source of information for other people in the communities about some basic animal care issues, and they're able to, if not directly help people, they know where to go to find information.
One of the things that's really difficult for people who live in rural areas is they're not going to put their dog or their cat or their goat or their horse or whatever on a plane and send them to a vet in Fairbanks. It's not economically feasible. People that live in the bush or that live in rural areas, they have a lot of knowledge about how to take care of their animals. They're very competent. We need to respect that, and we need to provide the support that they need, whether it's medications or phone consultations or emergency information for those people doing the best they can to take care of their animals. As a rural resident, I think that brings you a different perspective to vet care than somebody who's pretty much done all their work and all their living in the city.
We feel our strength is economic development. People living in the villages are surrounded by this wonderful resource, the tundra, that they can convert that tundra vegetation into this wonderful food product, reindeer.
And once you get reindeer, you want the reindeer to grow. So Once to do that, you have to be out there with the deer. As technology progressed, you can get more involved, like with snow machines, with four-wheelers, satellite collars, so you know where your deer are at. There's a lot of things involved with reindeer herding. We also need the knowledge that goes with it to cut the reindeer up into different pieces.
There's a huge demand for reindeer meat, and people are willing to pay a lot of money for it. A lot of these villages can reinvigorate the reindeer industry and transition over to commercial production. We just need to help them develop them and commercialize it.
I thought it was very interesting to learn how to find a cleaner way, a more efficient way to field dress the deer, and then to learn all the different cuts of the deer, how to commercially package them.
We have changed a little bit way to thinking of reindeer and reindeer meat process. We have made such kind of work that people have started to understand that it's very important to know how to handle meat, how to slaughter, and doing the all work using this USDA standards.
I learn a lot from when I come up to these classes than that we do it at home.
It's the change of thinking. That's it. That is the main thing. Everything happens very slowly. They understand the value of the meat, how much they have here for use. I think that's the main thing, and in that age, so young people, that's the bottom where everything starts.
Help pass this on to the younger generations to promote more of a family-orientated reindeer industry.
The old people are old people, and it's like me. It's a taking the new shoes. It's so easy, like for the young people.
Kind of hard, learning their new ways, their cutting ways than ours. So with me and my other partner, we always try to compare what we learned in the class and take it out there.
The students, and especially reindeer herders here in Nome and the villages, they are so great guys, great people. They have seen the opportunity of this program, and they understand it very well.
Having an ethnobotany program at a predominantly native-serving institution is really something new. Plants are still very important in this region, both as foods, as medicines, smoking fish, construction, making crafts, baskets. It's still an important part of life here.
YK Delta is the most Yupik culturally active area. Other places, they don't have the same kind of people that do hunt and use the land as much as we do. All the food that we have here is for the benefit of the whole person, mentally, physically, and also spiritually and emotionally. I tell them I'm a 99.9% Yupik food eater.
And it's given people a chance to see their local knowledge also valued in a scientific sense, to bridge that gap between what's called traditional knowledge and academic knowledge.
It's bringing us back to looking at more natural ways of healing, an awareness of how precious our resources are out here in the tundra, and that we need to look at protecting those resources, protecting indigenous knowledge and indigenous property rights.
We're really interested in the traditional plants and foods and how people can, learn more about those and incorporate those into their diet and bring them back into their lifestyle. Figuring out how do we bring some of those plants into the senior center so that the seniors have access to them and can incorporate them more into their life as well, since they're not able to get out on the tundra as easily.
In the Bethel area is the stinkweed juice. Some other people call it wormwood. It grows wild here.
From a seed planted by being around my grandma and always knowing that the stinkweed, the wormwood, Jaikluk and Yupik, is our people's medicine. Just trying to figure out how to use this, how to make it available for people without them having to go out and gather. And that's what brought me up to the ethnobotany program and the development of the curriculum and my business.
And right now, I'm still using that stinkweed. I also dried stinkweed leaves. You know, I just put hot boiling water and let it sit there, and the water turns kind of dark. When it cools off is when I put them in jars. My way of using it's not any old time. 3 mouthfuls before I go to bed. In the morning before I put anything in my stomach, 3 mouthfuls. Both beginning of the day and end of the day.
I like the ethnobotany program because it's a program that can be integrated in the schools. It integrates the native culture within the education, and I feel that it's very important for younger students to kind of learn as they go. And growing up here, you know, we've always picked berries and, you know, used tea leaves and used the jaikluk in the steam baths. It's kind of getting lost because it's not being taught to the younger kids.
We're working on a field guide of Yupik ethnobotany. Although there have been some academic studies done of local ethnobotany that have been published in journals, there really hasn't been something that's, you know, of the form of a community kind of field guide. I mean, we want to produce something that can be used not only for students in our program, but that we give to the communities of the elders that we've interviewed. Also, we'd like to see it used in K through 12 education.
The ecosystem in the Dillingham area is very vibrant, very strong. Basically, we're looking at an ecosystem that has limited human impact compared to most of the rest of the world. Well, we try to keep the environmental science program as place-based as possible. The whole idea is to develop place-based solutions to the place-based issues.
The reason why I chose this program is due to the fact I had just started working for the tribe. I started doing water quality work after taking, you know, getting our baseline studies for the Nushagak River. I got the reports back and I didn't understand what I was reading. So I knew I had a problem.
We work a lot with the IGAP program through the EPA so that they can set up their quality assurance programs. They basically can have defensible data when they are collecting their water quality information.
I think the NEPA process is just one big subject all by itself.
If there is going to be a certain action that's using federal land or federal dollars, which is most of Alaska, so we try to allow people to know how the NEPA process works, because that's one very powerful way to get your voices heard within the government. So we take on small-scale projects that students bring to us, and we try to help them collect the data they need in order to find a suitable answer to the issue at hand.
I think that was one of the biggest areas that really helped me out to understand that NEPA process. You know, how the federal agents are all working together with the tribe.
One of the environmental projects that we did this winter was a standing deadwood survey project. The goal for the project was to go out there and measure standing deadwood. Now that we have a lot of woodcutters that are harvesting wood in the wintertime to kind of compensate for higher fuel costs.
My internship was going to start off with the spruce bark beetle. When we first looked at the information, there was only information from 2007, and it said there was just a little bit of spruce bark beetle infestation. But going out and counting the plots, there was actually a lot of spruce bark beetle that we'd seen in the closer areas to town, and it would be affecting the woodcutters and being able to get wood for the winter or to heat their homes.
My name is Helen Jaikluk. I've been working 10 years at the Bristol Bay Native Association Marine Mammal Program. We educate the hunters in a layman's language. I communicate well with my hunters in both Yupik and Eskimo and make them aware of the importance of environmental science type research projects on marine mammals and their habitat. And they're starting to develop trust.
We are also looking heavily into how to be more sustainable in terms of energy. We're working with the Alaska Energy Authority, Bristol Bay Native Association, at what alternative energy or renewable energy are available to us, everything from wind to tidal.
I'm developing an occupational endorsement in sustainable energy, a set of classes focused on energy efficiency and renewable energy, which means teaching people how to be more efficient with using energy, which is helping reduce the consumption of fossil fuels, and then how to produce the energy that they need from renewable sources, another means of reducing the consumption of fossil fuels.
I've worked very closely with the campus on both a personal and professional level. I've taken several classes there to help me professionally.
It's a nice bridge to then have trainings that we coordinate on so that people learn firsthand how to then go back to their communities and collect data that's both scientific and incorporates the traditional point of view in terms of areas that are important.
The word is getting out. That's what we are trying to do, to educate the public about sustainable energy. The more we can do it, the more changes we can make to help solve the energy issues, yes.
Excellent.
I am working for the USDA at the present time at the research farm in Pullman, and hoping to go to vet school at Washington State University.
I think there's a lot of doors that'll open for young people going into different fields like culinary or biology. I think there's a lot of opportunities down the road to use education. These classes are a good launch pad for that, to show them there are more opportunities and to come back and put into the community what they've learned.
I'm glad that you guys are making this book there's a lot of books on how to do this and how to do that, but nothing in the Yupik way of doing things. And a lot of innuendo's been written about our culture and stuff, and I like to set the record straight. And one way to do is to have this kind of a program, like the ethnobotany that University of Alaska is doing. And I'd like to see more that type of books being written.
Well, when I was in school, all my friends were getting ready to go to college, and they were all getting their plans and getting their housing and everything, and I did not want to go. There was no making me go to college. But I think it's just a change of heart after doing what I did. So I don't really think you could push somebody into it, but if they have an interest, then you could definitely start them in a class like I did, and it just takes off from there.
Drum beats assist Alaska Native students to earn occupational endorsements, certificates, and degrees in agriculture, food, and subsistence science.
Physical